Of the whole game, Manchester United win 1-0, but they and Ruben Amorim will not care at all. That is a big 3 points for them against Fulham at Craven Cottage. So let's move on to talk about Manchester United and your thoughts on what we saw today, Jules.
I mean, I think for all the time that maybe they were a little bit unlucky, and maybe they didn't capitalize on what they were doing well in a game. It didn't happen very often, let's be honest. But maybe at times, then they got it all tonight, because really it was not a very good game to start with, and they just didn't do anything. And Stevie's right; the only shot on target is that deflected shot. The expected goals that we just saw on the graphic is 0.25. And somehow they won a Premier League game away from home against a team that has been good at home this season, that has been good in general. It's a decent first half, like top half of the table, more towards mid-table, but still it's a good Fulham team. So for United to go and get that win somehow, without really deserving it, but getting it, good for Amorim. It's a great birthday present, because I think it's his birthday today or tomorrow. But let's not kid anybody here. This was not a good performance from them.
You know, the best thing I can say is that a certain station this game was on kept a basketball game on and didn't show the game until the 65th minute. If only I had stayed on that channel, because I actually found it somewhere else. This was awful. Fulham were the better team in the first half, but Fulham didn't look like scoring either. I mean, really. They had a couple of opportunities. We showed that header off the line. A minute after that, Munoz came on and should have scored from a ball that dropped down from a corner. I think it was a corner, and it dropped down to him about 5 yards out. Should have finished it and didn't. After that, there's not even any point in talking about this game. It was awful. Fulham, as Jill said, have been really good at home and away, but they were really poor as well. And Manchester United, I mean, you talk about not learning anything from a game. This is the perfect example.
Hey, a win's a win.
Oh, it's a win, aye, absolutely. But in terms of talking about the game, there's no point. It was just awful.
So should I go home then?
Honestly.
A little boost, Ale, that things went their way, that maybe more things can go their way for the rest of the season?
I suppose that you can say something to build on. But even saying that, building on this foundation, I don't think is potentially the best thing for Manchester United. What I would say, today Amorim made the decision that Bruno Fernandes and Ugarte were going to play in the midfield, and it's a deeper role for Bruno Fernandes. I think this team loses a lot when he's not in a more advanced position. He is not naturally a defensive player. And while I guess needs must, and you have to find somebody who plays alongside Ugarte, in sacrificing Bruno Fernandes, you also sacrifice an outlet going forward. When this team, whenever they did win the ball, and they're looking forward, and they're looking for somebody to find that next pass, usually that's Bruno Fernandes, who's either receiving that ball in a more advanced position, or he's the one delivering the pass. But if he is so deep and so concerned about the defensive part of the game, there is no natural outlet for Manchester United. And so now you're depending on, hey, Garnacho, do something. Højlund, do something. There isn't a connection between the structure of the midfield of Manchester United and the attacking half or the attacking third of Manchester United. And so therefore, they become very limited, hence why they only had one shot on goal, and hence why the goal has to come from some sort of deflection. They'll take the win, but they need to continue to get better. And I don't know what better looks for Manchester United right now. That's the scary part.
How are they getting better?
Well, that's what I just said. That's what I just said.
Unless they turn around and start signing players, they are not changing at all. They've got nothing up front. And as Ali correctly said, if Bruno plays that deep, they've got zero going forward. Absolutely zero.
Jules, you're nodding along, but can they get better? Is there hope?
I mean, I guess there's always hope, yeah. But right now it's hard to see because, and Amorim said it himself the other day when he had this crazy press conference when he talked about them being the worst team ever in the club history. He said, like, I'm doing worse than the previous manager who we heavily criticized on this show, and rightly so, because he was not good. So Amorim knows it. Today wasn't good. Okay, it's 3 points. Today wasn't good collectively, individually. Really, there's nothing. I mean, Højlund, I've rarely seen such a bad individual performance than we saw from Højlund today. There was just nothing from anyone in that team. So I don't really know what they're doing. I know they still play quite a lot every 3 days, not much time for training. But even that, it's a bit like the Postecoglou injury excuse. There's a point where I'm not buying anymore. They're like, oh, I need more time to work. You've been here long enough now for us to at least see a little bit of improvement. And we saw it at times in the big games, Liverpool, the end of the City game, against Arsenal with 10 men. Okay, we give you that. But overall, there's just, this team is not good enough, and he hasn't improved this team. He hasn't made it good enough either. What was maybe the best thing today that what Amorim said after the game was, we asked him about Rashford, and he said, well, I would rather put my third goalkeeper on the bench as a sub instead of somebody who doesn't give me everything every day. So we go back again to Rashford to understand a little bit more how Amorim is working out this dressing room. Rashford, clearly in his eyes, he's not doing enough at training every day, not giving everything. So he would rather have a third goalkeeper on the bench than another option offensively.